You ever work now under the other name, David Johansen?
Well, I do films as David Johansen. I'm doing a film now at Paramount with Bill Murray called Scrooged, which is for next Christmas. It's going to be a great movie.
Yeah.
We're having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, he's very talented.
Oh, he's my guru in the acting business.
Is this the direction you want to go, motion?
But it was it was really like it came from the other side. You know, it felt like it. It was sort of like a voice that was sort of intoxicated, or like one of the visionaries, a visionary speaking to you in the night, coming on in your dream. And I hope to remember that kind of thing. You just try to remember those things, that encouragement, I suspect you know.
You're a
Whatever she
mean
was
one,
saying to you, you do it.
Mr. Grinch.
All right, that was quite a build-up.
You really are a heel. You're as cuddly as a cactus. You're as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch. You're a bad banana with a greasy black peel.
Real messed up. I don't know what bothers me more, your buck teeth as Lucy, was it Cindy
Lou Who, get with it.
Cindy Lou Who, or
Lucy
the pedophile quality.
Lucy Lou.
This is, as promised, a look and celebration of the 30th anniversary of Scrooged, the 1988 movie starring.
It was a birthday party for me.
That's how I got you here. You little narcissist.
You fell for that one again.
Always. And this is her appropriation of the Ghost of Christmas Present. Shitty appropriation as usual. You don't have wings.
I want to call out Party City for not having wings year-round. What the fuck is up with that?
It would have been our first try at expensing something at Compound Media, and you couldn't even do that.
I went through every aisle. You have unicorn tutus, but not wings?
And even wearing a tutu, no one would be able to see it. That's why I did not wear my cummerbund. This, unfortunately, is my co-host, Joanne Nosachinsky. To our immediate left is the wonderful comedian, entertainment reporter. You can see his work at Gold Derby.
Gold Derby.
Why? I'm the worst. And he's got a great podcast called Sitting Around Talking Movies with one Neil Rosen. We need to get him on. I am a big Neil Rosen fan, and I like that you guys disagree. Bill McCuddy, ladies and gentlemen. And right near him, no relation, Alfred Schulz. He is the producer of Stand Up with Pete Dominic, and more importantly, the co-host of Sit Down with Alfred and Chris, and that Chris is right next to him. Chris Hauselt. He is also a producer at Stand Up, and the co-host of Sit Down. And the reason that we are doing this...
Do this a lot?
Yes. The reason we are doing this...
Mark that down. I'll do that a lot.
Alfred and Chris.
Whether we ask him
me
not
while I'm
to.
doing my intros. They have a thing on their show called the Classic Movie Club, which I am...
What are you staring at?
Myself. I'm a narcissist.
Oh, yeah, we can all do that.
Yeah, if you look up here, there's another screen.
I like to look right into it.
They're all very handsome. But they have and the most recent one was the delightful Christmas movie that is Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick.
Holiday favorite.
Oh, yes.
So we were just thinking about two brothers sitting down watching that movie together.
How weird is it?
That was the film
I watched it
Stanley
in-
Kubrick punked two famous people. That's
Yeah.
my whole theory on that movie.
See, but
Absolutely.
we were pro It, the movie, when we did the show. Like, I like Eyes
There's
Wide
things
Shut
about
now,
it that are
yeah.
cool. Sidney Pollack, always great.
I watched it at work.
Yeah, you did, and then
watched it on a
you
work
have another
computer.
meeting at HR as a result.
Yeah, they want to watch it with me.
Yeah, well, they're escorting you out of the
I have
building.
to point stuff out with a laser pointer.
And immediately following that show, I pitched to Chris and Alfred, well, it's the 30th anniversary of Scrooged.
Yeah.
We should do that one. And they said they didn't like me and that I was not coming on anymore. So we decided to do it on our show. And we have completely stolen Alfred and Chris's format. Thanks, guys. It's called plagiarism. It's not plagiarism if we have you on.
Happy to be here. Technically, I told you smelled like a bum.
Well, that's true.
That's what brought up the
wait,
bums from Scrooge.
Can we straighten one thing out? Is he technically banned from your show?
Well, I like the fact that he's saying that he.
I respect
stole
that,
our
so don't back
format.
off. Yeah.
I mean, I wish I legally binded through him through blood.
Binded.
But I like you said, you stole our format of guys talking about movies.
It'll all come out in the trial. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Other people,
Copywritten, sir.
It'll all be in the
people who
subpoena.
stole it was Bill Simmons, Kevin Smith.
Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert.
They're dead, but okay.
Their version was the worst.
Anyone with thumbs pointing up or down?
There you go.
They patented that, by the way. Do you know that?
Seriously?
Other critics couldn't do it.
Oh, really?
You call it
That's
thumbs up or thumbs
interesting.
down.
The
All right, I'll
Michael
give them
Buffer of
that.
the movie
Owned it.
review world.
Well, in a
they
weird
also
way,
announced
that's a segue because this
We
little
need one.
movie that USA Today rated the best movie of the last 20 years, or the last 30 years, sorry. Very debatable. It was received with mixed reviews. Scrooged, what they rated it as. It was received with mixed reviews when it first came out, and the box office was good, but not what they were expecting. And Siskel liked it. Ebert did not, and I believe we have a clip. Thanks, you
television,
two.
but I want to ask you something.
Go ahead.
A long time ago, you had this interview with George Scott that you often quote where he told you about the 3 things you should look for in movie acting.
Yeah.
The third one was joy of performance.
Yes.
Did you get any joy of performance out of Bill Murray?
Yes,
I don't
did.
think he enjoyed making this picture.
Well, I have no idea, and I don't know whether any actor likes doing the work that they do, and I don't know that I care. I mean, it wouldn't seem like it would be
Well,
fun.
it was your test. You ought to care.
No, it wouldn't seem like it was fun for Robert De Niro to play the character in Raging Bull. But I do believe that Bill Murray is having a good time there. He's ad-libbing like he usually does, and it seems very funny.
Well, I don't think the ad-libs worked either, but we're not talking about fun. We're talking about joy of performance.
I understand. I think he had a good time.
Okay.
God, I miss those guys so
They
much.
were
I
great.
hate
That
how
was
much
such
I
a
love
great
Joy of performance. How about joy of paycheck? That's usually where my joy.
Well, but remember, he waited 4 years after Ghostbusters to come back and make this, so he presumably looked at a lot of stuff.
Ghostbusters freaked him out.
He told, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. He was not happy
All
with
the
the whole
ghosts.
fame thing.
But the other thing that was a challenge for him in this thing was it wasn't an ensemble. He was like used to being in like a group of people, and he had to carry this film. So, and he and Richard Donner allegedly, which we can get into, didn't get along. So
Did not get along. And I definitely want to talk about that because later on the show we'll have on Tommy Avallone, who is the director of the Bill Murray stories, which is basically just a documentary on anecdotes with people's interactions with Bill Murray. And the vibe you get from that is that Bill's just living his best life, and he's very kind to people. Bill has a reputation of not getting along with people on set. It certainly wasn't just Richard Donner.
he's not an easy interview either. I mean, I've
Richard
done like
Wilson.
10 junkets with him over the last 20 years. And, you know, I'd have to point out that I was also from Wilmette, Illinois, where he grew up. And like,
Love
I had to grease it a little like you do with Tommy Lee Jones. You have to like sort of get him in a nice mood because as much fun as he's having in his real life, he hates doing the junkets, as do most celebrities.
I love doing them.
I would love to do a junket.
I'll do 3-4
the
junkets a
viewers that made you successful.
Well, and I will start with The Ghost of Christmas Present, and we can just
Junkets
go around the
with
table.
story
But, like, what were your overall thoughts on Scrooge when you first saw it? Do you think it holds up? We'll start with you.
Yeah, well, when I first saw it, I was just
zygote.
born.
Yeah.
No, I probably first saw it when I was like maybe 10 or so. And I really liked it, I think, because I had also seen, Ghostbusters. So definitely, that kind of recognition is great. I felt like there were scary moments when I was a kid.
It did.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly
Especially,
dark for an 80s comedy.
when the ghost of his former boss is like holding him outside of his building, like that is scary.
Dulcet tones of John Forsythe.
Watching it again as an adult, Bill Murray just yells a lot. and now that I'm an actress, and I think about acting and stuff like that, for him, volume always means emotion.
It's a good call.
Which
Actually, though, that was a
think
Richard
is-
Donner thing that he talks about.
Oh, really?
Donner just kept directing him, do it louder, do it louder, do it louder.
There's a lot of yelling in this film. And then another point, though, women in the film. Claire is, I don't know the actress's name.
Karen Allen.
Karen Allen. Thank you.
She's fine.
God, it's not her. I think it's the writing, but like such a weak woman.
Interesting.
The fact that she wanted to be with him
She was
after all of
1988.
his outbursts.
Well, actually, that's a good point.
It was
Yeah, he's
weird.
sort of like, he doesn't.
Right.
She saw
It's a
that
movie.
She sees the good inside. The old lumpy she knew way back in 1968.
Yeah.
Carol Kane was strong. You were strong.
She was, yeah, but just in terms of like the love interest.
You're not living your best.
You know, Karen Allen's character in Scrooge was like a 1988 strong woman, just so you know. Like,
Yeah, that's such a good point.
You have to grade on a
it
curve.
was like Diane Keaton in Baby Boom, and then like Karen Allen in Scrooge.
Yes, well, and to the
Jane
point,
Fonda in her workout tapes.
who did Karen Allen have the
Melanie
best
Griffith in Working
chemistry with? Did she have it with Harrison Ford? Did she have it with Jeff Bridges, or did she have it with Bill Murray? I mean, she had the Starman, she had Raiders of the Lost Ark.
She and Otter in Animal House.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent
Okay,
call.
I mean, like that.
All right, well, we will put all those on the table.
Actual chemistry?
Yes.
I mean, two of those things are like anti-chemistry is built in. I guess the Indiana Jones one I would say would be the winner, but
Hard to argue.
it's built in to be like this like anti-chemistry
Crystal
thing.
Skull, right? That's what we're talking about.
Because Starman, she's
mentioned
incredibly good with Jeff Bridges, but it's
is.
kind of creepy. I mean,
The whole
and
movie's creepy, yeah.
That movie never made sense when I watched
Nightmare.
it's pretty charming on some levels.
I don't know if it holds up. I haven't seen it in a while. But,
I saw it about a year ago.
His face in that movie, I just creeps me out quite a bit.
The few interviews that Karen Allen has done recently about Scrooge, yeah, well, you know, he's an alien in a new body. I get the
really good.
I never heard of any bad acrimony between Karen Allen and Bill Murray and Allen in the movie, but the interview she does now about Scrooged, you kind of get the vibe that she and Bill probably didn't get along very well. But I think that they're
He's
good on
playing an asshole.
Yeah, but even like the kiss at the end doesn't
Didn't buy it?
looks weird to
Didn't
me.
put a little love in your heart?
No, it seems not at all passionate. I don't know.
She has to be thinking, I don't think this audience wants to see Karen Allen with this guy.
Yeah.
And she's kind of being the audience there for a second, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
You said in the interviews for this, have you noticed that like she's the only one who's really doing any kind of like I did some looking up to try and find like actors and people involved with Scrooge
too, and-
talking about Scrooge, and there's like kind of like radio silence out there. And I've seen two separate interviews of her talking about the 30th anniversary, but all you find from like Bill Murray and Richard Donner is that like they
Didn't get along.
they didn't get along and they don't want to talk about it anymore.
Right.
Bill Murray still has a hard time talking about being in Scrooge.
The set was probably not a fun set to be on.
I don't think it was at all, and the part of its mixed reception, which now seems ridiculous because Bill Murray is so good at playing a prick, was the fact that he was playing a prick, and people were uncomfortable with that, and it sort of set up his role in Groundhog Day, where people, I guess, were a little more comfortable with him being a dick.
Kind of a dick in Ghostbusters, kind of a dick in Stripes as well.
But
he's like a
that's
sarcastic
his
Chevy
swagger.
Chase
That's
style.
his-
Yeah.
He was like the fun-loving dick who comes out on top and like you're happy about it.
Yes, but he was full-on dick in Scrooge in such a
Donner.
wonderful day.
call him.
Oh, very good.
Do you think he was like, listen, I did Superman 2. I don't need this shit from you, pal.
Kind of did Superman too.
I'm knocking on the door of greatness with this new film, Lethal Weapon, I've got going on. Leave me alone.
Bookends both Lethal Weapons with Scrooge,
Right.
And weird Christmas movie, Lethal Weapon, and then it goes into another very weird Christmas movie, which was Scrooged.
Noticing we all read the same IMDb and Wikipedia entry.
did.
So-
but we're
Oh, this is all
verbalizing
from my
it.
memory.
When Scrooge came out, that whole 4-year gap that he took after Ghostbusters worked like a charm on me. Because I saw Ghostbusters when I was a little kid, like someone's birthday party. And then, like, I just wanted more because you spent the next. I spent the next 4 years just only basically watching Ghostbusters as often as possible. So then, when you're like Bill Murray was like he was my favorite actor, probably when I was like 10 years old.
Was he still on SNL
That was
then?
Olivier.
No, he'd left SNL.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right.
And
So
they're
you were
like
hungry.
Bill Murray is back, and I remember going to the video store and being like, oh boy, I can't wait for this.
Such a good impression of you back then.
And
You do it better than
I
Trevor.
don't even think. I mean, there's no way I saw Scrooge in the theaters. There's no one in my family that would have taken me to see that movie.
I think
So,
we did.
I think we did.
I think that I had to have waited for VHS, and then it was like one of those things where you're like, Mom, you know.
Did anybody did anybody
My
have the
mom would
same
say, which is
feeling?
like, well, eat your pasta. I don't know.
Did you? I remember thinking this thing is trying a little too hard. But there's Bill Murray who just seems to toss shit off, and now they've got him in this structured bullshit thing with Lee Majors and all that. They're all very funny now, and it kind of holds up. But at the time, I thought, man, this is really trying to hit me over the head with these gags and this concept. And I love Michael O'Donoghue. I think Michael O'Donoghue is one of the most twisted, coolest. That's the Lampoon writer that came out of SNL. Yeah, and he's one weird motherfucker. But so I wanted it to have I wanted the dark side, but man, everybody's working so hard to get us to laugh. That's how I felt at the time.
Well,
I revisited.
He doesn't like the movie, or didn't like the movie.
He's dead now. Yeah.
But also, speaking of like the weird moments, the nipple part, where they have the woman who's in charge of
standards and practices.
Yeah, so our standards and practices is way more lenient here.
Where is that woman?
Where is standards and practices?
Well, I'll tell you, there's no standards, and you can use some practice.
Hey, but yeah, there are just moments where you're like, okay, I get that it's supposed to be ridiculous. That's kind of the point. This whole telecast, with Mary Lou Henner, right, as Tiny Tim.
Mary Lou Retton.
Mary
Lou Henner would not forget that.
Guys, I'm still hungover from 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's just like these moments. We get it's supposed to be ridiculous, but then I'm just like, really? Because then the few kids who are in the audience, you're like, oh, Ariola on TV? I don't know.
I say yes.
And you guys probably loved it.
That moment, I was waiting for it, rewatching, because I haven't seen it in years. I watched it 2 nights ago, and I was like, oh yeah, there's that nipple scene. How much? Because I remember as a kid,
you can barely see them nipples.
Being disappointed and like, what is this person talking about? I don't see nipples at all.
They blow that out.
Enough for PG-13.
They blow that out of your young mind so quickly, because right after that comes the guy who's just like, I tried crazy glue, and I just can't get the antlers on this little fella.
Yeah.
And
There's no way that guy's an actual actor, right? That was the actual animal trainer, because the way that guy's acting that whole part,
I think you're absolutely right.
He can't be an actor.
But the standards and practices lady is actually one of the weak links of the film for me.
Didn't need to be there.
And this is going to sound crazy, but in a movie where a man is visited by ghosts, and including death itself, and has wild hallucinations and learns the true meaning of Christmas, how horny she got at the end seemed to be the least believable part of the entire movie. I was like, oh, like the nerdy lady is suddenly all horned up for the LA executive.
Yeah, like we didn't see any of that sexual frustration earlier. Had we, then
That's
maybe
the old
was
gag.
Buttoned up. I think she learned that Christmas is all about getting it out.
Like, what gave her the green light? The threat of violence?
maybe.
Yeah.
What a kink.
She got Home Alone throughout, too. She just got beat up. Her whole character was there to get just
She was the original wet
ass
bandit.
kicked.
And in a weird way, this movie sort of set the standard of stars looking good by doing very brief cameos. It wasn't as much of a thing, I think.
We're over here.
Scrooged. Yeah, sorry, I was
Your
being
camera's
distracted by
there.
myself, yeah. Just focus on the voice.
We really want to direct.
But one of the great ones was a bunch of street performers that ended up being, we have the clip, Paul Schaefer, David Sanborn, and goddamn Miles Davis. There we go. And that is nothing if not the power of Bill Murray's friends coming on, basically.
The film is amazing.
Yeah.
The cameo cast, I mean.
Well, and as Bill mentioned before we started, the Ghost of Christmas Past is played by one David Johansen, the lead singer of the New York Dolls, legendary. Turned that into a persona called Buster Poindexter. And he is cast as this guy. Originally, it was Sam Kinison that was going to be the Ghost of Christmas Past. Now, I would have liked to have actually seen that.
Somebody in standards and practices got to them, apparently.
Yes.
He was considered too much of a problem.
You think? Even
Yeah.
then, he
Oh,
had
yeah.
that reputation.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
But Bill was just friends with David and got him on.
Right,
I
bumped
think it
him.
was
Yeah.
kind of like, they ended up with the better character.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. To the point where I'm surprised he has not done more acting.
He's done some.
Yeah, he's done a couple
I
of things.
remember. I don't.
Some is by definition not more.
I'm trying to think of how he's actually officially credited in this, but he was Buster Poindexter.
was
That was
David-
his name.
Oh, yes.
Right.
And I remember he
David
did a movie,
Johansen.
but he did a movie in like the mid '90s. I forget what it was. And I remember in it they said with David Johansen, and I remember watching that preview, being like, who's David Johansen?
Right.
Buster Poindexter.
Buster Poindexter was like Pee Wee Herman, and there was no Paul Rubens.
Yes. Very weird.
Yeah, very well said. And like Bill Murray. Bill Murray would just, with regards to that, Bill Murray, he's very Staten Island, the pride of Staten Island. Bill Murray just showed up in his video. And we have like a brief clip here of the quintessential Buster Poindexter song. Take a look.
I helped invent punk rock. Look at me now.
It's a weird transition. There he is.
There he is.
I don't even think they knew Bill was on set, and he just all of a sudden appeared.
Well, that's his life now.
Yes, exactly.
Sets up the documentary perfectly.
Yeah, on that Wikipedia page we all read is where I found out
what that is.
This is where I found out last night, and I didn't know this, but David Johansen was in the New York Dolls, and his
full name?
Bandmate Arthur Kane, the guitarist in the New York Dolls,
Oh yes, this is great. Terrible.
saw Scrooged on TV and was so upset by the visage of his singer acting in this Hollywood movie that he flew into an alcoholic rage, beat up his wife, and then jumped out of a third-story window to try to kill himself.
Thank you for that up note on this holiday
Happy holidays,
show.
everyone.
Unsuccessful.
Yes, I think we should note that he actually survived, but that is absolutely true.
I mean, I've been jealous before, but I've never beat my wife over it.
I really want to see you do that.
I can't believe that man.
Well, we're with a former Miss New York here, and I've always wanted to believe that, like, say, a Miss Indiana saw how well you're doing now and tried to do the exact same thing.
Oh, I'm
out of
so
a jealous
flattered.
rage. I thought it was the nicest thing I've ever
That's
seen.
sweet.
Like Miss Kentucky and text us pictures.
Thank you. A rule you should do.
There is a blind jealousy in the
Can you text pictures?
pageant world, right?
There's jealousy everywhere.
Hey, just a
very
quick
diplomatic.
update that guitar player, he's dead now.
You did.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank God.
He thought he had the flu, went to a hospital, and found out he had leukemia, died 2 hours later.
Oh,
No.
Christmas.
2004.
that's a tough diagnosis.
Mary.
Not even Dick Van Dyke could diagnose that murder.
This holiday moment was brought to you by Jameson, the Irish whiskey.
What would be your criticisms of the film?
Oh,
Because there's a lot I love.
I'm a real super fan, so I last night my wife hates at the end. She loves the beginning of the end, but then when he turns sincere,
Yes.
she's like, "Oh, I hate this part." But I'm all in all the way.
Interesting.
I love it. I love every aspect of this movie. I really, genuinely do. Always have.
You're a bit of a sociopath, so I
hot.
assume you don't like that scene.
Am I flushed?
Relax.
The kiss at the end we know you don't like.
Yeah. Well, another thing, maybe I'm just confused by it. And I'm curious if you all have noticed this. So, speaking of Christmas Past, when Bill Murray is in the cab sometimes hits other cars.
Yes.
And sometimes goes through other cars. And
Oh
at
my
first
God,
I was thinking, well, maybe it's just like when the cab is in the present, it's a present cab and it'll hit stuff. But no, when they go to his Christmas party, when he was, I forget what position he had, but before he was the boss, when they stop outside the building, they do hit another car when they're parking. So it's like that kind of discrepancy is what I notice.
Took you out of an otherwise believable movie.
But there is an answer for this.
It's so fake.
In a 1992 interview, Richard Donner did state that when they were architecting the Ghost of Christmas Past, that they decided to eschew traditional paranormal rules as established by films like Ghostbusters, and they decided to mold the Ghost of Christmas Past more like a trickster demon. And so the rules of physics in the spiritual plane are left up to him as it.
I realize
as it
she's
sees
legit
fit.
trying to follow you.
You
right
cleared
now
that up.
on what you're
No,
doing. Yes.
I mean, that makes sense.
But he also controls it. That's why he walks into the door and then instead of through.
She's a literal Lucy when it comes to that stuff. Alfred, what took you out of the movie? Was there any criticisms, or do you
Parents.
just love all of it?
I don't know if I love this movie. I
Yeah,
remember
you mentioned that.
As a kid, I grew up sort of assuming because of the peer pressure of where we grew up and just having a family that sort of loved Bill Murray.
Yes.
Like I had to love it, and I think I did. I don't not like it. There's just a lot going on in this movie. There's a lot of, you know what reminded me a lot of the entire time was...
Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol?
yeah.
What?
I feel like it totally ripped
I never
it off.
thought of that.
Totally ripped it off.
We restart the
telling
show.
you,
This brings up
read that
all
book.
new questions.
Read that
That's
book.
kind of
I'm
a spoiler.
telling you
That's
guys.
kind of a spoiler
I'm telling
for people
you.
who haven't
Was
seen
it on Oprah's list?
Yeah,
for
probably.
books? Yeah.
Yes. But it reminded me a lot of Beetlejuice. in a lot of weird ways. Obviously, the Danny Elfman music.
Yes.
But just overall, like his hair even is like Beetlejuice in it.
Yeah.
The way he's running around being very manic, it was very similar to me. And I don't know, there's a lot that goes
Came out
on in
the
this
same
movie.
year.
It's so fast.
It's too much movie.
It does.
Yes.
It is a constant barrage of information.
And apparently there was like a solid hour that was cut out of it that
Isn't that
was just
crazy?
Yeah, I think they just did a lot of what a lot of comedies do now, which is just film a bunch, see what works, and run that.
highly
but also-
stylized, which also made it very Tim Burton-y as well.
Yes.
Film a
Heightened
bunch,
reality.
have a lot going on in every scene, and have, as we talked about, him yelling instead of throwing it off and being Bill Murray the way we like him, which is more low key. He's playing this kind of forced contrived guy, and it's a little long for me. I go back to it now, and I think it's better than I thought it was when I first saw it. But
I'm the same way.
I think it wears better. Yeah, I mean, it's like a new network.
It's it's a great 80s time capsule, a little bit. I mean, there's just so many 80s tropes in that thing.
In 2006, I read this on a very respected Wikipedia page. They were going to do an anniversary edition. I guess it would have been, I don't know, 25 years. I don't know. But they were going to do a deluxe DVD edition of Scrooged.
Interesting.
And they did a bunch of featurettes. They did a commentary by Richard Donner, an interview with Bill Murray, and like a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, because it did win an Oscar for hair and makeup, or was nominated. Maybe it lost to
Beetlejuice.
Lost to Beetlejuice. So, yeah, he's the worst.
Don't give him credit.
A few of the Wikipedia entries.
He was same. And
up the balls.
But they wanted to push it out, I guess, for Christmas, and they weren't going to make the deadline, so they just scrapped the whole project, and all that stuff is lost. Because then when they did the Blu-ray,
Well, wait, what I read made it seem more nefarious. So they pulled it away and never released it.
Never released it.
Yeah, it's kind of something weird went on.
because
there.
they did a Blu-ray transfer like a couple of years ago, and like that stuff isn't part of it.
I want to see the deleted scenes. We have on the phone Tommy Avallone. If I'm
shut up,
if I'm pronouncing that correctly, the wonderful director of the Bill Murray stories, which is exactly what it is. It is a bunch of anecdotes about legendary interactions Bill Murray has had with various people. Tommy, before we pick your gorgeous brain, let's take a quick look at the trailer.
All right.
If you haven't seen this yet, I will punch you in the face because it's wonderful. Let's take a look.
I don't like to be threatened.
I'll just pick him up.
It's Bill Murray. Yeah.
Oh, you are kidding.
There's always that one person who you want to meet, and you'd be like, this is never going to happen. And then this guy shows up at your door.
I'm bartending outside on the patio, and I get a text message.
We're just about to sit down for dinner. Knock on the door.
I'm a wedding photographer, and I get ready to photograph. And as I look through the lens, I see this guy.
We were having a house party, and I run inside, close the door. I was like, shh, you're not going to believe it. Bill Murray's here.
I get weird chills every time I hear anecdotes like this.
Hello, my name is Tommy Avallone. I'm a documentary film director, and I wanted to do a story with you. I'm not good at this. There are legions of tall tales about Bill that have circulated online throughout the years. So I looked, and it's Bill Murray slapping his belly. These Bill Murray stories are random interactions with Bill and regular everyday people.
Bill Murray could just sort of like arrive in your life for a few minutes.
Why would such a big celebrity insert himself into these random situations?
I don't think people can figure out why he would do that. It's like, where's Waldo?
This was a search for answers.
Bill was just fine getting lost.
You okay?
Yeah. I'm Bill, by the way. He just reveled in not knowing where he was.
I run inside, and Bill is bartending.
He's like a candle when you light it in a room, and all of a sudden the room smells great.
He goes after little moments charged with meaning.
He marches to his own beat.
Bill is teaching us all how to live.
Wow. Tommy, one of the many things that I absolutely loved about this movie was actually part of its marketing, where you actually have a photo, an illustration of Bill as Sasquatch. Because that's basically what these stories are. It is almost, they're mythical. How did this all come about?
Well, yeah, I mean, even to talk about the Bigfoot part of it, like that was our approach the whole time. We realized we were making a Bigfoot documentary.
Yes.
But the Bigfoot happened to be the Bill Murray stories. So we tried to approach it in that way, you know?
And you did a wonderful job. It's weirdly life-affirming. I mean, there's the entire movie is almost a philosophy. Was that something that you realized going in, or it just sort of present itself?
Well, you know, when you start doing these research and like looking up stories with the karaoke or the kickball or any of them, really, you start seeing certain words kind of like just like pop up on the pages. You know, when you read them as like just one story and then like a year goes by and you read another, it doesn't really pop up the way it does when you read them over and over and over. And you start seeing these words like, you know, living in the moment, being present, being available. And you figure like there's got to be something more to it. And then you kind of deep dive and start talking to other people who are on that path of learning about these Bill Murray, the mantra of Bill, really.
We're with Alfred Schulz Chris Hauselt. I believe you were on their show, which was 10 times worse than ours.
Hey.
My co-host Joanne Sochinsky and Bill McCuddy. And Bill actually had a great idea that we should demand that you give us Bill Murray's 1-800 number. If you want to explain about that.
I think it was on that show where their phone stopped working and I got cut off.
Yep.
Aha.
Sounds like us.
See, our production skills are 10 times better. There's a reason Garrett left Sirius. But, like, explain the whole legendary 1-800 Bill Murray number, as he has actually no representation.
And how many times you actually called it?
Yes, good question.
I called about like 12 or 13 times. You know, a baker's dozen. He had an agent at one point, and then it was like the agent went on to start running Disney, and like he left CAA. So he started getting these other agents at CAA, and this wasn't really too bad. Didn't like the idea of like people calling him all the time, so he just he stopped it. He fired every representation he had, and he just had a 1-800 number. And if you wanted to get him for a job, you call that number, and he's missed it.
Now, Tommy, seriously, we would love to call him and just leave a message saying how much we enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
So if off camera you could tell the producer, we would promise to burn that number.
Oh, of course, yes.
Into our cell phones.
At one point, it stopped working, and I thought he got rid of it, but it came back. So that's
You're not going to give us the number, are you?
No.
No, he'll just give us a fake one.
I feel like if Bill Murray were really like next leveling this, he would have an arrangement with like a takeout restaurant to also be his messaging service.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very Murray.
It'd be like Eastside Tacos, and he'd be like, yeah, I'm leaving a message for like Swanson, and then they're like, oh, please hold, and then they reconnect you.
It's as if Bill Murray was a drug.
You know, it's interesting you say that because some places, some people who've had to drop scripts off at like different like FedEx or like Kinko's or phone booths, you know, like he's had drop off points for scripts before.
Oh God, that is.
I mean, he's Osama bin Laden of Hollywood.
In your research,
he likes to make it a game, you know.
In your research for doing this, I mean, all these anecdotes just show Bill to be this magnanimous, wonderful, living in the moment guy. But as we were discussing earlier, he does have a reputation on set of sometimes being very difficult. Did you ever come across any anecdotes that didn't go so well? A Bill Murray meeting that wasn't exactly positive?
I mean, one or two, but like that really wasn't the the thought of the movie. You know, we wanted to try to keep it kind of Bill positive.
Yeah.
You know,
like something you could track.
You didn't want to Bill shame.
Well, but you think about it, like you walk up to someone and eat their French fry. That's a pretty brave, bold thing to do, and sometimes it doesn't work. You know,
or walk up to somebody in a bathroom and put your hands over their eyes and say, guess who, or no one will ever believe it. I've heard that story about it happening on the streets. I never knew about it happening in a men's room, and I was just like, if that happened to me, I would say, I'll believe this, and turn around and
punch, and
pee on them.
Right. And as famous as Bill is, it's got to register for a second that, oh, this is Bill Murray before you clock him.
Yeah, the bathroom story is like this weird one where there's no registered person who's ever actually had it. Like, there's no name, there's no person. Some people say it's a bathroom, some people say it's a street, some people say it's a bar. Like, so it's like one of those, like, that's where you get that tall tale, Bigfoot sort of urban legend feel to it. Where, I believe somewhere, somehow that happened. but I'm not sure if it was in the bathroom. That just happened to be how I heard it. But that's what's crazy about Bill.
Well, and it's certainly a big theme in the movie is just how Bill Murray was sort of mindful and present before that became like a catchphrase.
Right.
But is there any other like defining thread that you found from all the anecdotes that you collected?
There's this one video on YouTube. It's pretty interesting. I'm not sure if it's on point to what you're saying, but like he talks about this one painting he saw in the Chicago Museum. He said he was just having a really tough day, like bad set or whatever it was. He just wasn't feeling good, and like he thought. In this video, he talks about the idea of wanting to commit suicide, sort of thing.
Oh God!
But then he saw this one painting, and it was just this lady like working on a farm, and the sun was rising, and he's like, it's some people have it harder. The sun always will rise, and you just kind of get out there and do your work. And it was like this painting he fell in love with that kind of like got him out of that funk. And I think that he understands the appreciation of art and what art can kind of do to kind of bring you out of whatever you're going through.
Well, and I think also it's this idea of being that he is an actor, you are often I hope, a more empathetic person. So you are thinking about other people's lives, wondering what it would like to be them. So I think that, a lot of his interactions are super personal, because he sees the person, he wants to affect their lives in some way, be it however small. He's not like a celebrity who just gifts money or prizes to people. When he does it, he gives a Cubs ticket to one woman outside of a stadium,
sits with her or goes and washes the dishes and watches everybody else at the party, or sits down and watches the band, never gets up and sings with them necessarily, plays the tambourine. Like there's story after story in the film. That's what makes it so great. But I also noticed, to Bill's point, that all of the stories are initiated by Bill instead of people coming up to Murray and some great story happening. So as much as he likes to stay out of the fray of the story, he's the instigator to start with.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's a couple things there. So sometimes, it's a lot of people asking him, like, hey, do you want to join this like kickball game? Or, hey, we have this karaoke booth, you want to join? Like, Mike in the video talks about, asking Bill to be a part of this. It's that yes and approach. So there's sometimes other people kind of do ask him to be a part of it, or he could easily just say no. But a lot of that, I think, comes from that Del Close, Second City improv idea, where you kind of like are actually interested in other people's lives and interested in where the story and where life takes you.
Yeah, he's like kind of just improvising life a little bit.
Always with a 20.
Oh, very well done.
Always with
Alfred's the thoughtful one.
If I just jump in here, always with a 20-minute wait. Like it seems like they approach him to do karaoke, or they ask him to tend bar, or they do something, and he goes away for a minute, and then there's a knock on the door 20 minutes later, and he comes in and does karaoke.
Absolutely,
so it's not as improvisational as you would. Maybe he's spending 20 minutes going, what do I want to get out of this? What's my
he mulls over it. Like there was that great anecdote that you had, Tommy, with the bartender. Was it in South Carolina?
Shangri-La?
Yeah, I think
that was in Texas.
And he like comes back and tries to find him, and the guy had to go walk his dogs. I mean, you can explain it better, but that's certainly what McCuddy's touching on.
But like I read an interview with Karen Allen about Scrooged, and kind of the way that he was acting, it's obviously a lot of it's improvised and ad-libbed. But in this interview, she said recently that no one was really sure, like you wouldn't see him for a stretch of time. And it was like, was he looking over the script and thinking about like the different ways he was going to do something the next day? He'd just kind of go off, and then he'd show up and just bust out like all these different variations of the scene. And like, it would almost leave people reeling. It was like, what just happened, Lumpy? I guess
it always goes back to Lumpy.
Well, I mean, like, there's this thought that he, one interview he said where he, sometimes has to take time off so he can live enough to report. I feel like there is this idea of him experiencing life and experiencing people enough where then he can actually do his job and be like an actor that is telling that story or telling that character.
Absolutely. Now, I don't want to spoil part of the end that may or may not involve an interaction you had with Bill, but I will ask you this. Have you heard from him or anyone in his camp since this has made its debut?
Well, so Joel Murray is in our movie, and we interviewed him, and he watched it and very much enjoyed it. So that to me, I feel is like it's the closest I'm ever going to get.
One Murray down.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's my second favorite Murray, I'll say.
He was on the Today Show, and they asked him, like, there's this documentary about you. And he's like, yeah, they asked me to be a part of it, but being in a movie about myself, that's something I'll do when I pass away. So there's very much of a Bill Murray-like answer to that question, and I respect that because that's what we want. When we were calling him, we weren't asking him to be a part of the movie, because I don't think that would. If this was a Bigfoot sort of movie, you're not going to sit down with Bigfoot at the end and go, so what's with the woods? Like you have to kind of keep that magic.
Right.
You have to keep that magic alive,
And the first half of this show was celebrating the 30th anniversary of Scrooged. What are your personal thoughts on that Bill Murray chapter?
Yeah, I like Scrooge. I feel like I liked it more when I was younger. I have to rewatch it. Like my favorites are like Ghostbusters. I do like Lost in Translation. I feel like I like a little bit of each of those sort of movies. I wasn't too into Stripes or anything like that.
Wildflowers
Ghostbusters was my Bill Murray movie.
Well, the movie definitely isolates one of many seminal Bill Murray quotes that almost explain his theory on life. Meatballs, I was never a huge fan of, but of course, and you guys do a very good job of showing this, it has a scene that sort of explains Bill Murray's outlook, and that is it just doesn't matter. If you want to expound on that.
That's the tough part. It's like, you do kind of want to explain that, but also you kind of want to keep that open, I guess, in some ways to let the audience experience that whole. I feel like talking about it kind of ruins some of the magic, Well,
Joe, you've done a bit of improv. Did you take away anything about how you can better live your life from Bill in that flick?
Well, I definitely think that what he does with the rules of improv, it is the saying yes and the follow through, which he does, but also finding the funny. And I think that, he knows who he is. He knows how people see him, and he leans into it. For example, one of my favorite stories, which was like a written story, it's not really a personal one, but they did Groundhog's Day on Broadway, and he went to see it. And he said he loved it. It was great. But he didn't stop there. He then went back the next night.
Forgot about that.
To play into the Groundhog Day, story, this idea of it keeps happening. So I just thought that was so special and so lovely. The fact that he gets the joke of his life and his career and the point of the show. So that kind of stuff, it's just delightful.
And there's a recently new Bill Murray story. I think it was in South Carolina where some lady was behind the counter doing her job and just not having a